Welcome, gang. Welcome, gang. I'm gonna in the next few minutes, I'm gonna change your life, give you some crucial information without any fluff, things you could implement tomorrow. Give me a few seconds. Let me get my mic on. But in the next few minutes, I'm gonna give you 5 businesses you can start in America today without borrowing any money, anything like that. Just give me a few seconds. Let me put my mic on. You're not gonna regret it. I'll let you know about this. All right, gang, let's get it rolling. This is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 5 businesses you can start today in 2017 with only $100 and gross $1 million per year. Okay, and how fast can you do it? Depends on how hungry you are. You can do it as fast as a couple of months to a couple of years. Okay, so let's pull the curtain back and get started. The first business I want to talk to you about, where you can start with $100 without getting into debt, without borrowing money from a bank, without using a credit card, without using private money, hard money, friends and family, none of that stuff. Don't even use your savings, okay? And you can just do it with $100. Is the moving business. All right. Now, what makes me an expert in the moving business, guys? Right out of college, I decided to sleep in my car, and I started my moving company with $100, and I've owned it for almost 14-15 years. Okay, and then I decided to be a public speaker, and now this is what I'm doing. In that time, with the $100, I've managed anywhere from 22 workers plus. Okay. I've had my business grossing $100,000 plus a month, making over $1 million for many years. Okay, in the 14 years of ownership, 14 plus years, 7 of those years I was there starting the business and creating systems because I didn't know left or right in the business. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any blueprints or anything. Okay, the other 7 years I didn't even go to the office. I was an absentee business owner and still made money. Okay, now how do I know moving is $1 million business? That's a very, very good question. You're very smart. Okay, now let's do a quick comparison. I used to be in the fitness business, right? And people want to get fit, but nobody wants to pay and nobody's willing to put the time in. However, in moving, everyone has to move. Everyone. It doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're middle class. It doesn't matter if you live in an apartment or you live in a house or if you have a commercial business, okay? It doesn't matter. Everybody needs transportation, and the reason you haven't really think about it because you haven't noticed it till I just told you about it. So everybody and their mama is moving. If you live in an apartment, you're moving every year. If you're living in a house, you're moving so often. If you're in busy states like Texas, like Denver or Colorado, people are always moving in here, like Austin, so not only is moving happening inside the state or inside of the city, but people are moving inside the state and outside of the state. Okay, and on top of that, there's a lot of commercial businesses that need moving and delivering and transportation. Now, many people don't understand that how big the moving industry is. It's a $1 billion industry. Okay, without a joke, it's a money-making machine. I remember when I first started the moving business, and I had my moving business, and I started want to do real estate investing. I listened to Sean Terry. I'm sure many of you guys have. Great guy. And I remember him saying in his wholesaling business, he made like $100,000, maybe a little bit more. I spent a very long time that I listened to him. But I remember thinking to myself, okay, wholesaling, you can make 100. I have a moving company. I do the same exact thing. So that's why I didn't really like wholesaling that much, because my moving business, you can make a lot of money, and I'm going to show you how to make that money. And now, how did I get into the moving business? Okay, after I graduated college, I didn't have any money, and I wanted to be a entrepreneur. I wanted to start my own business and work for myself and not work for the man. And everybody was telling me I was crazy. My parents, my dad, my brother, my friends. Everybody told me I was crazy. I didn't have no money. I didn't have any credit. You know, I had just graduated college. I had no experience. I didn't have any connections. So I was living in my car after college instead of getting a job like everybody else did for 30 to 40 grand. And my cousin hit me up and says, hey, he was in Houston. He said, hey, I started a moving company, and why don't you come help us and be a helper and be a mover? At that time, I thought to myself, hey, it's way better than working for my cousin than having a stupid job. Boy, I didn't know what the fuck I was getting myself into, because moving was such a hard job. And back in college, I was a really buff guy, and I worked out all the fucking time, and like twice a day, I hit the bag, I ran, I rode the bicycle everywhere. I didn't have any money to drive my car. And so when I started doing moving, that shit was so hard, dude. It was just so hard, especially me, because I was a big guy and my cousin was a little guy, and I had to do all the fucking heavy lifting. And when we going down the stairs, I always had to take all the heavy load. Boy, that shit was hard ass work. And I did that for him and helped him out for just a couple of weeks. And every night that we came home, him and his wife would go and watch TV and drink beer. And I wasn't really into beer, and I surely didn't like watching TV, but I didn't like the situation that I was in, that I had a college degree. My cousin didn't, but he had a business because he married, right? And his wife hooked him up with the moving company. Where me, I have a college degree, and I'm being the slave worker of the moving business. And it's such a hard work, guys. I have to get up so early in the morning. We have to get up like 4:30, 5:30. We have to be at the office at 6:30. We have to be at the customer's house at 7:30. In Houston, traffic is no joke, dude. So we would get up so early. We would work every day, dude, like late, 1, 2 in the morning, dude, doing moves. It was dead summer. Real estate was really high. People were buying and selling homes like crazy, and he was fucking busy, and I was doing 2 to 4 moves a day, 5 days a week. So you could imagine, I didn't like the situation. I had to work like a slave. I didn't have any money. Sure, I was making a little money with him, but it wasn't like what I wanted to do with my life. So every night that we did moves, we came home tired as fuck, all bruised up. I don't know if you ever guys did moves before. Your chin's all bruised, everything, right? I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do to make more money? What can I do to add more value so I don't have to do moves, because this is slave work? And then one night I was sitting in front of the computer, and this is a time when we're talking about dial-up, ladies and gentlemen. This was when, you know, Net Zero was at the malls and they're giving away CDs, and AOL were competing, and Yahoo was king of the internet directories. It wasn't search engine. It was the Google wasn't king at that time. So anyways, when I was sitting in front of the computer, all beat up, all tired, and watching them all hugging, drinking, and watching TV, and I was working, an idea flashed into me, which is, hey Mike, you know how to generate leads online already, because that's how you pay for yourself in college. Because I created a website, and I started generating leads for personal training to pay for my school instead of getting a job. So I got the idea that maybe I could create, you know, something what's called, like today, called Uber. But this was for the moving industry. This is way back before there was Uber, before there was a Craigslist, before there was like UShip, before there was like vanlines.com, before there was like all these other. And my idea was that I could generate leads to the internet for all 50 states. Because I realized when I worked on my cousins that moving was a business that everybody needed all the time. It wasn't like personal training it was like a luxury or the rich people could afford. Moving, everybody had to move, okay? And so the primary thing was you didn't have to sell. Like, people needed to move. It wasn't like you had to persuade them to say, hey, you know, you want personal training, or hey, do you want to spend $25,000 to invest in your future? It wasn't like that. They had to move this heavy shit, and most people were obese in America, so they couldn't do it. They had to hire somebody, and most people have the consumption mentality, and the TV told them buy so much shit, so they had a lot of shit, and so they needed to move that shit, and they were fat, and they couldn't move, and so many people, 50% of people are obese, and so they hired people. And I realized that lead generation was the main part of this. It wasn't the selling part of it. that like personal training. So I told him, I went to him and I did a little quick mock-up and I presented it to him and I said, look, dude, this is what I can do for you. I can generate leads, but not only in Houston and Dallas and San Antonio, everywhere. And the guy didn't want to listen to me. So a couple of nights more, I worked on it. I thought about it more when they were drinking beer, watching TV, and I came up to him and I begged him. I said, hey, come on, dude. I got this great idea. You know, it's out of this world. I mean, it was hard for him to understand because this is the dial-up age. People don't have mobile internet or, you know, none of that stuff, right? So for me to come and tell him, hey, I could generate leads for you online, where he has to spend all this money in the yellow pages month after month and all the other stuff marketing he does, he couldn't understand it maybe, or maybe he didn't want to help me out because I was his cousin or whatever. But I went to him again and I begged him, and I went to him and again I begged him, and then he said no. And I think because he didn't really like own the business in a sense, because his family member handed it down because he married, right? So he didn't have full authority to like make a decision for himself, right? So he said no, and I thought about it. I'm like, fuck this shit, man. I didn't go to college to be a fucking mover and just make like 500 or 300 or 700 or whatever I'm making a week. And my parents didn't come to America for me to be a fucking mover, and I'm way better than this shit. I said, you know what? I'm going back to Dallas. So I went to Dallas, and at this time I already learned how to make websites. And let me remind you, this is in the dial-up age, and you know, to create a website was like $5,000. You know, nobody had hosting, and you know, it's not like Google was providing hosting, and you know, domain names were not like GoDaddy so easy and all that stuff, right? And so, but I already learned how to create a website because I did it for the personal training. I created leads from it, but like I said, it was not that many people wanted personal training, where I knew that if I created a website for moving, more people would come like crazy because everybody needed to move. So when I went to Dallas, I instantly lived back in my car, and I instantly started working on a website called Look for Movers. And basically what Look for Movers was a platform just like Uber, but what I did is kind of like an Uber / eBay. I marketed through search engine optimization, SEO, which back then there was not a term for that. Now everybody teaches it, even Harvard and Stanford, but back then there was no terms for that. I searched and optimized my website for people to come, which what I mean by people that want to move, the customers that want to move. They would come to my website, and the hook for them was, if you submit your information, I would have 5 moving companies compete for you or bid for you. So they were happy to submit it, because back in the day there was nothing like this out there, okay? So people would submit their leads all over America, right? And then the movers, their incentive was, hey, instead of paying thousands of dollars in the yellow pages, which cost so much money and that you didn't get results and all this bullshit, why don't I just give you the leads to your email or your text messaging? In which they didn't believe that shit, so I started giving it to them. And so they loved it. And so all I did was just connect the customers with the service providers, and that's how I started the moving business. And the way I started is I created a website, and then I did a little SEO. At this time I didn't know shit about the business, nor did I want to own a moving business, because it's a very, at that time I thought it was a very dirty business. I didn't know the potential. Just kind of like you think when I just say moving, you're like, ugh, right? So anyways, I created a website. I'm driving down to the fucking gym on Trinity Mills. I remember it clearly like it was yesterday. And and all of a sudden I get a text message, because I had created where when a lead submits, I get a text message. The very first lead that the website created, I was driving to the gym on Trinity Mills, and I got a text message. I look over, and there was a moving company right then and there. I start hunking him down. I said, pull over. And I pulled over. I thought it was a one-man show. I think the guy's name was Jose, but I'm not 100% sure. It's been such a long time. I presented the idea to him. I said, look, dude, I got a lead right here. He didn't know what the fuck a lead was, and through my phone, all that stuff. But I said, look, man, I'll give you this lead for free, dude. I got a customer that wants to move, that have a house, blah, blah, blah. Because back then, people that had an internet were people that had money, because internet was expensive. Nobody wanted to pay for internet. I mean, you know what I mean? And so the leads that came in there were like $1,000 leads, $2,000 moves. So I give the lead to him for free, totally for free. I just got it. I just persuaded him. I just flagged the guy down. He didn't know me. And it wasn't like I was driving a nice car. I was fucking poor, heading to the gym. I just got to college. I'm living out of my car. That's why I'm going to shower. And I told him, hey, dude, here's the fucking lead, dude. And work it. Let me get your business card. I was so lucky because I called the guy up the next day. He had called the customer booked, and he made, you know, good money from him. I never asked him how much money he made, but I knew he made money because he told me. And then I told him, hey, do you want more leads? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, why don't you give me $100 a month and I'll give you leads, dude? Because to me, $100 a month was a lot. I'm living in my car. I just came in with the idea. My cousin rejected me. My own family member rejected me. I begged him. I said, come on, dude. I just want a little piece of the pie, dude. I don't want to be a slave worker. He thought it was a stupid idea. I wouldn't implement it. I still lived in my car. I took the most extreme risk. Boom, lead came in. Boom, mover was right there. The stars and the moves lined up for me. I give it to him for free because I knew the power of working for free. And then boom, the guy was hooked like crack. And then he wanted $100, and I got smart and I said, you know what? I'm gonna add 4 other moving companies, and I got 4 other companies to give me $100 the same exact way. I give them for free. Boom, they made $1,000, $500. I don't know. They never told me, and they wanted more like crack. They came to me like, hey man, let me get some. Boom. It wasn't even a hard sell. So after like a while has gone by, you know, I'm not making that much money because I got to pay my server. I mean, server back then cost a lot of money. I had to pay IT. There was no things like WordPress and, you know, all these GUI interfaces. Back then you had to know PHP, MySQL. You had to know like serious programming. If you wanted to make anything, there was nothing like what it is today, guys. So easy, like Facebook. All this stuff makes it so easy. You don't need to know programming. Back then, if you wanted to have success online, you had to be a programmer, you had to be an IT guy, and they cost a lot of money. So anyways, after some time went by, I had all this overhead. I was hardly making any money because I was charging them so little, but I was, you know, going through other states. I just decided one day to have enough courage and pick up the phone and call the customer, the lead. I had no experience whatsoever. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to give a quote. I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't even have a moving truck. I didn't have no equipment. I didn't have a helper. I didn't have shrink wrap. I didn't have dollies. I didn't have pads. I didn't have shit, right? So what I did is I called the first customer. It was a $1,200 move. I rented equipment, and the rest was history. Before I knew it, I had 7 vehicles. I went from, you know, living in my car to a 400 or 500 square foot office to having a 3,500 square foot office with an acre yard in the back, courtyard for our trucks. So, and it went so fast. And all this time, I didn't never, for each equipment that I bought, for each truck that I bought, I've never used a bank. I've never used a credit card. I never used, you know, parents or friends. I didn't have any of that stuff, so I couldn't even ask for it. But I didn't ask for any support, and it was a great blessing. And that's what I've learned. That's what I want to share to you. One of the major differences between me and everybody else out there is that so many people teach you how to supposedly get rich by getting into debt. You know, like you want to buy this, get into debt, you know, put it on your credit card, get 100% financing. Where I want to show you to use house money. I want to show you not to borrow money, and I want to show you how to use the least amount of money possible and have a successful business, because America, the grass is so green. So why even get into debt? It doesn't make any sense. Okay. So if you want to start a moving company, you can do it with $100. I've done it. There's basically 2 ways, 2 paths to go by it. You can take my information that I've just given you and go out there and try to figure out how to do it. You can do it. I did it. It'll just take you a while. If you want more information on how to start a moving company, you can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to hold your hand and help you. I could give you just like a blueprint, like a consulting, all the way down to the manuals, because I was in the business for 15 years. You know, I had not only like a lot of VAs working that I didn't include in the 22 people that I mentioned earlier, all the way down to people in the office, all the way down to movers, the whole work. So I had manuals, how to do, who to market, how to market, all that stuff. So if you want to start a moving company and you want a blueprint, hit me up. I'll be happy to help you out. It will cost you money. It's not going to be for free, of course. But again, I can do it where I give you a blueprint and you run with it, all the way down to I give you the assets of the business per se, from how to train, the manuals, how to give quotes, contracts, where to advertise, everything you want to know, how to set up everything. I've done it for 14, 15 years and started with $100, had $1 million business, guys. Okay, so that's Business number one, you can start with $100 and moving company. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, it may not seem like a glamorous business, but it's a billion-dollar industry. You can make a lot of money. You can make more money than that guy Sean Terry wholesaling real estate with. Everybody's like, oh my God, just having a moving company. What can you have for $1 million business? You can have a $100,000 car. You can have a $25,000 bike. You can have 7 motorcycles. You can have 3 ATVs. You can have trailers. You could go vacations. You don't have to look into your banking account. You could have a full-time lawyer working for you. You can have all these people working for you. You could take risks, so you can do a lot of stuff when you have a business that makes $1 million a year plus, ladies and gentlemen. And with $100, you have nothing to lose. I'm not saying that you should go borrow money. That's not the way to do it, okay? Because the probability of starting a business with money and having success is so much less than starting with nothing, okay? So let me get some water and I'll tell you the second business, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, just ask and I'll be happy to answer it. All right, the second business that you could start today with only $100 and make $1 million plus per year, okay, is a mobile car wash business. Now, please notice that every business that I talk about here, majority of them are businesses that people need all the time. People that, it's kind of like shaving. Men need shaving, women need shaving, blade, right? So businesses that people need all the time. Everybody needs to move, commercial and residential. Car wash business is the same thing. Now you're thinking, Mike, it costs so much money to start a car wash business. Nah, you could do a mobile car wash business, okay? And now, car wash business is divided into 2 ideas. You have your commercial, okay, fleets, and then you have your residential. And I've done both. I'll explain it to you. The commercial is really powerful because it's a subscription base. They're always paying you month after month, week after week. Let me give you an example. When I had my moving company, I had 7 trucks. Well, guess what? I had logos on them. And my truck, when they drove around at the apartments, at stoplights, people would call me from them. So I would book customers from them. So I always kept them clean all the time. So I hired, a company to come to our office once a week, twice a week to constantly wash the cars, okay? So if you hit up corporate accounts, you have subscription based where you have a contract and you come in every week, every bi-week, every 1 month, what have you. It's very, very powerful. Then we started a car wash business for my brother because I was trying to help my brother out, and we had significant success. We had too much success than we can handle, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And at that time I had my own business. I was making a lot of money, so it was his, so he didn't want to fall into it. I had just put the money in, but in the beginning days I helped them start a business. So I'll tell you what I did for the commercial ones. Tremendous success. I lived in Texas at that time. Gaylord Hotel Resort is one of the biggest ones. We went to them, okay? Man, they had so much work for us, guys, because when people are not willing to do these kind of ideas, I'm telling you, it's so much money. Went up there, talked to the fucking manager. They were so happy. The same day they had work for us. We weren't ready, dude. We went up there. They give us fucking limousines. They give us buses. They give us excursions. They give us so much fucking work that I was like, oh my God, right? And they want us to come in every week to do this stuff. And I was like, wow, we weren't even prepared for that, right? The other thing I did is I went to the airports because my office at that time was by the airport. And I went to the airports, the park and flight ideas, and we offered them to do a thing where they could promote as to get more clients. Like, hey, if you come park here, when you come back, you get a clean car. So they loved us, okay? The other thing you can do is go to like office buildings and and pitch yourself to them. Like I pitched myself to Corner Bakery. Why? Corner Bakery, they have vans that do catering. Any restaurant that does catering, they need that shit washed inside, outside, food spills. So as you can see with the commercial side, there's a lot of business in it. There was more business than I wanted to handle, and my brother was not really a hustler and bustler. It took me like 14 years to figure it out, but I figured out that you could bring a horse to the water, they're not going to drink it if they're not hungry, guys. That's why I tell people, if you have money, don't spend money in a business because it's so easy to lose your money. If you use imagination and will, and you make it, and you get a little money, and you go, right? But if you put money in there, you're not going to make it. So, with the residential, Again, people that have nice cars, you can go to office buildings, and when you're washing the office building, other people that are in that office are going to come talk to you, etc. So that's business idea number 2, where you can make $1 million with $100. All right, business number 3, ladies and gentlemen, $1 million plus is cutting grass. There's a lot of states that people have grass just like this that need to be cut, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to start this business. I can show you how to do it. I have other people do it, and you can make $1 million and you can have this business in autopilot. Same thing with the mobile business, autopilot. Moving business in autopilot. It will take some time to create the systems and get the right people, but it can be an autopilot where you don't have to be there. The grass business, everybody has grass in the states that, you know, people need grass cut. If you're in the desert, then of course it's not going to work, okay? But if you're in Texas and Florida, things like that, people always have grass. And the cool thing is, again, it's a subscription base. When you get that person to cut their grass, more than likely you're going to cut their grass for a long time, unless you fuck up, you don't do a good job. Then their neighbor's going to see it, and their person across the street is going to see it. They're going to tell their cousins down the street. See, it's a very good business that's easy to get more and more referrals. Okay, so we talked about car wash, we talked about cutting grass, we talked about the moving business. Okay, now let's talk about wholesaling. Wholesaling is a good business that you can do. Okay, that allows you to get in the real estate business and allows you to learn about the business without putting your credit up, without putting your money up. Okay, it's a really, really good business for that. You don't need any money. You don't need to be a licensed realtor. You don't have to get some kind of certification, so you can start immediately. And how much can you make? The world is your limit. Okay, and what's between your ears. All right, so you can make a lot of money or you can make no money. But I think being a wholesaler is way better than being a realtor, because to be a realtor, you have to spend like $1,500 to get a license. You got to pay MLS fees. You got to pay this fee, that fee, and it's so much fees. 9 out of 10 realtors probably don't succeed. And who made all the money? The MLS, the Realtor Association, the school systems, all that bullshit. Where with an investor, you put your money into you and what you think is fit. You put money into marketing, and you're able to get properties with no money, no nothing. Okay. And the 5th idea, okay, where you can make money with no money is any business, ladies and gentlemen. Any business in America, you can start with no money. And I've shown you my alchemy formula before, but I'll share it to you really quickly now. Instead of going and borrowing money, instead of coming up with a business plan and going and borrowing money, number 2 is, instead of opening a storefront and building desks, buying all this infrastructure, and then opening your door and start marketing, okay, the very first thing you should do you still have some more juice? It's done? Okay, guys, so my battery's about to die, but just know that there's a way to start any business in America. The first thing you got to do is marketing. And if you know how to market, you don't need the equipment, you don't need the infrastructure. You could figure out how to get that business rolling. Guys, if you like these videos, please like, please share, please comment. If you have any questions, please, I'll love to